EA Sports FIFA 20 sponsors Saturday Social.
This is Making It Pro with Tom Heaton in partnership with EA Sports FIFA 20. Tom, firstly, how are you? Keeping well and safe in these very difficult times?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Managed to stay virus-free. Obviously, a difficult time for everyone at the moment, but thankfully we've been fortunate to avoid that. So yeah, all going well, thank you.
Okay, you're a Premier League keeper now, as we know, but let's take it back to where it all started. A young Tom Heaton, growing up in Chester. How big was football for you as a young kid?
Yeah, it was massive. From as far back as I can remember, football was all I cared about. It was all I loved. Playing every day, as much as I could every day. Starting out in playing for, the school team, the local Cub Scout team, the town team, a local Sunday League team. As much football as I could possibly get in. So it's, it was a real big passion of mine. And if I'm totally honest, all the way through, that hasn't changed for me.
Do you have a role model or a footballing idol that you looked up to as a kid?
Yeah, I think at the time, and obviously linking in with signing at Man Utd at the time, the big one for me was Peter Schmeichel. Incredible feature of the team and that successful team over that spell. A real hero of mine. And as I sort of developed and got a little bit older, he sort of came to the end of his career. And I ended up being fortunate enough to be number 3 keeper at United and spending quite a lot of time with Edwin van der Sar, who sort of filled that void for me when Schmeichel finished. Again, another incredible goalkeeper. Different ends of the spectrum in terms of probably personality. Peter being a sort of aggressive, massive personality, whereas Edwin was a massive personality in a more calm and composed way. But they both had massive impacts on the team, I thought.
Let's talk about Man United, because you mentioned them a few times already. You had your youth career, started at Wrexham, then on to Man United. So what was that like, learning your trade as such a young player, up-and-coming player in the game at one of the biggest clubs in the world?
Yeah, it was incredible. It was absolutely, it couldn't have been any better. The grounding and upbringing, the foundation to having a career in the game was amazing. The techniques that I learned, the tactical stuff. All the way through really. But I think what was key through my time there was they were developing people as well as footballers, and that was a key thing. And certainly now, I have a sort of close relationship with a lot of people that came through with it at United and had careers in the game.
You said that at Man United it wasn't just about developing you as a player, but also as a person. What kind of things were they doing then to develop you as a person?
But I think the things that sort of I remember were advanced driving lessons. The young pros there, young lads. What it's like. Young lads get a first car, and the attitude of driving can sometimes be a little bit excited getting in the first car, driving around, driving too fast. Sir Alex Ferguson wouldn't let you move out unless you'd passed the 6 cooking lessons. He didn't want everyone. It's like a young lad living on their own. Go and get takeaway every night. It's not particularly good for your career. So that we're taught, that you had to pass the 6 cooking lessons with the nutritionist at the time, and until he'd given the green light, you weren't moving out on your own. There were so many examples of that through the stages, where just rounded life skills that you sometimes can get missed, that have such an impact on your career and as people.
What was Sir Alex Ferguson like to work for?
Yeah, he was incredible. Growing up, the man at the top. He was a fearsome character, but brilliant to be around. Growing up through the sort of young ranks and signing full time as 16, 17-year-old. Everyone used to look up to him. Even now, I remember he came into Burnley's training ground. What will it have been? 6, 7 years after I'd left. And I saw him arrive down the corridor. He'd come to see the manager, Sean Dyche, and you just stand up a little bit straighter. Stand to attention a little bit. Morning, boss. You just don't lose that. Yeah, honestly, that's what I said. And the lads were in creases, but it was just a natural sort of response. Yeah, it was a bit like that. It was exactly like that. So and I don't think I'll ever lose that. Every time I've seen him, I've had the same reaction. It's funny how it gets installed inside you and it doesn't leave.
Who are the best players you came up against in training? So not just the goalkeepers, but were there certain players that you were just like, wow, this is just on a different level?
as the sort of young goalkeeper, I did a lot of finishing work with Ruud van Nistelrooy, who for me is probably the best finisher I've ever worked with. He was incredible. So, I tended to do sort of 10, 20, 30 minutes every day with Ruud at the end of training. So brilliant experience for me. And obviously the obvious one is Cristiano Ronaldo, watching him and how he went about it, the work ethic he had, even after training. In training, it was giving everything a top quality, but then the work he put in outside of that, jogging around the pitch, dribbling the ball, sprinting up hills. I've got a vivid memory of how much he put into it and how he brought himself on really and developed himself on top of what he was already doing in training, which was impressive.
Brief stint at Bristol City, including relegation. Then you went to Burnley. In your first season at Burnley, you got promotion, and I think you kept 19 clean sheets, which was more than any other keeper. So that was quite a busy period for you, wasn't it? Cup final, then relegation, then promotion. Was that a few years when you look back on it with fond memories? Although there were a lot of highs and lows, you got a lot of game time in that period.
Signed at Bristol City, big club, really big club, great football club. High hopes that year. Just didn't materialise. We struggled. I played most of the season. I think I played 43 league games that year. Really enjoyed it. Actually, I was pleased with my performances, but we conceded almost 100 goals and finished bottom of the league by 10 games. So it was an interesting one. And then on the back of that, I signed for Burnley under Sean Dyche, which was just an incredible season. Third or fourth favourites to get relegated out of the Championship. Ended up getting promoted automatically, I think, in second spot. Just an incredible season.
And the next season, of course, Premier League, playing with Burnley. Now, interestingly, you did get relegated, but you were the only Premier League keeper, I don't know if you know this, to play in every minute of the Premier League. So the only Premier League keeper to play every single minute of Burnley's Premier League campaign. You did go down, as I said, but you also got Burnley's Player of the Year. So although it was a disappointing year for you as a team, do you take a lot of pride for the fact that you had cemented yourself down as the number one, you were voted Player of the Year, and you had a very good season individually?
Yeah, I think I do. I think that's right. I think as a group we did that as well. Personally, getting back to the Premier League, like I've already said, was what I was aiming for, was my dream. So I remember that first game of that season, Chelsea at home, Friday night. For literally the first game of the season in the Premier League, we actually went 1-0 up, which was an incredible atmosphere at Turf Moor on the night. I was fortunate not to get sent off. I brought Diego Costa down for a penalty.
I remember that. I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was lucky.
You were a bit lucky there, weren't you?
I was. In fairness, I think his reputation preceded him a little bit. I still claim that he chucked his leg into me, but I did catch him and he did go down. But thankfully, I stayed on the pitch. We ended up getting beat 3-1. But we did all right actually that season. We had very little Premier League experience in the squad. Certainly, I didn't have that. So we were learning on the go. We didn't start very well. I think we went 10 games without a win. We really sort of stayed together, and grew and evolved as a group, and then sort of coming back up the next season, and then the team staying in the Premier League from then on probably comes down to the foundations that were put in that season. We got relegated. Really, it was a strong mentality. Despite being relegated, it wasn't catastrophe.
And of course, during your time at Burnley, big moment in your career. You made your England debut. You've got 3 caps for England. It was at the Stadium of Light, wasn't it? England against Australia. It was. 4 years ago now. Yeah. So you were 30 then. So the question I want to ask is, as an uncapped 29-year-old, are you thinking, I've sort of missed the boat here, getting an England cap? Or did you always have confidence that one day you would be capped for England? It
was always an ambition of mine, and it never changed, if I'm totally honest. I was very fortunate to play a lot of England youth football, England under 16s, under 17s, under 18s, under 19s, under 21s. But the gap between under 21s to my seniors clap was a long time. I think, I'm quite proud of that journey though. I didn't just fall into it. It wasn't so I had to go and earn it. So no, I never lost belief that that's what I was aiming for. I'm sure, when I was playing on loan in League Two at Rochdale, people might have thought it was a long way away, but I never lost belief in that. That's what I was capable of getting to. That's certainly what the aim was. I think it's all about performing, and then performing at the highest level you can. Thankfully, I got the opportunity to perform at the Premier League. That worked, and I managed to get the England call. So an incredible moment for me, as you say. It was a dream for me to play for England.
I've read so many articles involving yourself, and you talk about your time at Burnley with such fondness, so many great memories. The Burnley fans love you. Leaving Burnley and joining Aston Villa, just tell us how that all came about.
It just felt like the right time, ready for a fresh start. You know, it's been an incredible experience. You know, massive fond memories, as you say, of the football club, of the people, of the staff, the players. But for me, it was the right time to probably go and push my boundaries again. You know, I spoke to Aston Villa. And that came about, and had the opportunity to go and sign down there. And from the moment I've walked through the door, it's been absolutely brilliant. The only frustration for me has been getting injured on the 1st of January.
Yeah.
Ironically, at Turf Moor, would you believe it?
Yeah.
But even since then, you know, being involved in the football club there, you know, the noise at Villa Park is incredible. You know, the size of the football club and the people there, and just how good and steeped in history it is, and the success they've had over the years. The Premier League is where that football club should be, and high up in the Premier League. So I'm hopefully going to be a part of that in terms of getting the club hopefully back to where they belong, which is certainly the top half of the table.
Aston Villa have been quite unlucky this season with injuries, like big injuries to key players. How is your injury coming along? How is all the rehab coming along?
Injuries coming on really well, actually, thanks. We're give or take 4.5 months post-operation. I'm really pleased with the progress, actually. Feels solid, feels stable. I'm back out on the grass doing a bit of running, and then slowly going to build that up. I think in reality it's probably going to be a big ask to get back in terms of this season, but I'm certainly hopeful to be ready to roll by the time the season kicks off next season, whenever that's going to be.
A lot of good players. You've mentioned some of the injuries. You've got McGinn, you've got Grealish, a lot of top players. I presume you think that with the squad you've got, it's more than capable to survive in the Premier League and push on again next season when football does return, of course. Yeah,
that's right. I think, you know, the current state of play. I know play suspended at the moment, but we've got a game in hand on the majority of the teams. We're 2 points from 15th place. I think at the time that lockdown happened, we were in a difficult period. You know, we'd had a few tough results, and the performances hadn't been up to scratch really. So, you know, the break probably came at a good time for us. We've certainly got an awful lot of ability in the squad. We've shown on so many occasions that we can do it. We can put it all together. I think we've been plagued a little bit by inconsistency. You know, we haven't got an awful lot of Premier League experience in the squad. We had a lot of new players in the summer, which is difficult to bring that all together and everyone learn on the job, if you like. But I think the pleasing thing is we've shown it so many times on how good we can be. So I think this break, you know, we've used it very wisely. The manager's been great in terms of making sure, you know, we've gone back, analysed individually, analysed collectively on where we're at, what we need to improve on. That's been really impressive. And I'm very, very optimistic. I was optimistic anyway, to be honest. It was so close. But even now, I'm hoping we've gained an advantage in this spell on what we've been doing, so that we can go back and finish the season strongly and finish on the right side of it. As I say, we've certainly got more than enough ability to do that.
What is the future? Do you have any future ambitions? Are there plans to get into coaching or management? What would you like to achieve in the future, Tom?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's something that really I've put on hold for thinking about for the time being. You know, I really feel better in this first 6 months of the season where I was playing before I got injured. I felt better than ever. I felt stronger than ever. So, if I'm honest, my goals and ambitions all around playing and keep improving, keep performing, keep making my performances better. At the minute, the short-term goal is to get back out on the grass and play. And yeah, I want to make sure I get back in that England setup. I want to make sure I put that England shirt back on. I want to make sure that you know, we're keeping Aston Villa in the Premier League and a successful Premier League team. So, you know, my sort of goals all centre around playing and performing. I think beyond that, I'll look at it at the time, but it'd be very difficult for me to see a life outside of football. You know, I love it so much. I'm sure I'll stay in some capacity, but for the time being, all my focus is geared around the playing side and getting back to it, and then hopefully achieving once I get back to it.
Tom, really enjoyed that. Thank you for talking so openly and honestly. All the best for the rest of the season. Stay safe. I'm sure we'll catch up soon.
Cheers, Smithy. Top man.
That was, of course, Making It Pro with Tom Heaton in partnership with EA Sports FIFA 20.